Hello, welcome back. I'm Chef Luis Cortes, the owner of Savor and Gather Personal Chef Services in Nashville, Tennessee. Today, we're going to do a tres leche, but not your typical tres leche. We're going to do an ube tres leche. Ube is from the Philippines. It's a purple yam extract. So today, my ingredients will be, this is going to be a garnishing element, my strawberries, and my fresh mint that I picked from my garden. Special, that's very good to have mint in your especially your own herbs in your garden. We have our ube extract, some granulated sugar, and this is my flour, my self-rising flour. I have about a half a cup, and my cornstarch. I have about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch here, and we have my butter that I'm gonna put in, my 4 eggs, and a little extra sugar. That's gonna be for my 3 milk mixture here. So tres leche obviously it means 3 milks. So we're gonna have coconut milk, some evaporated milk, and some condensed milk, and a little bit of sugar to sweeten that up a little bit because my condensed milk will do the trick. It will sweeten it up, but we need to elevate it a little more. You can put a little bit of vanilla in it if you like in this milk mixture, but since I have my ube extract, I don't want to take away from that flavor, the purple yam extract. And then I have my baking pan. So let's get started. And our sponge cake is going to be with our eggs first and our sugar. So we're going to take our eggs and put them one by one in our mixture. And so I separate them one by one and put them in another container one by one to make sure that each egg is good. And if there was a spoiled egg, it would not spoil the rest of the eggs that I have in there. So it's just something to, I guess, a precautionary measure to always be aware of. So we have our 4 eggs in there. Lift this up. We're gonna put our sugar. I got about half a cup of sugar in there. I got my ube extract. That's about a teaspoon. That's more than enough because of the fact that it's a pretty strong extract. We're gonna take this. We're gonna blend it for about 10 minutes, and so we'll let it on high speed 10 minutes. And while my cake, I'm gonna let that, and I'll work on my whipped cream. My whipped cream is gonna be a passion fruit whipped cream to combine, make it different. We're doing something more tropical or Caribbean, or mixture between tropical. Philippines is not the Caribbean, but we're doing a mixture. So passion fruit you can find in the Caribbean and most likely in the Philippines. I'm gonna taste my mixture, see how it is, and sweetness. It's good. So it's been about roughly about 6-7 minutes. I'm gonna leave it for another 2 or 3 minutes because it's approximately 10 to 12 minutes that you should leave it mixing because you want the eggs to foam to become what they call like a peak, stiff peaks. So it's gonna do that. Usually you do that with whipped cream or egg whites, but with the whole egg you can do that too. So it's good to have your eggs at room temperature. So like that, the cold doesn't allow the eggs to foam up as fast. And sometimes not at all. So let's give it another 2 or 3 minutes, and then we'll start folding in our flour. Okay, I think our mixture is done. It's where I want it. So what we're gonna do now is I already put my oven to heat at 350. So we're gonna put this. We're gonna fold in our flour little by little with a sieve and our flour and our cornstarch, a self-rising flour and cornstarch. And we're gonna put this in the oven for 20 minutes, at the most 22 minutes. You don't want to go too far. You don't want it because this is a sponge cake, but you don't want it to dry out as much, even though the perception of a sponge cake is should be kind of dry because you want it to absorb, but that's not the case here. It would absorb. It would be too dry and it wouldn't absorb uh, your liquids as good as you would like it to. So too much cooking time will not help. So I'm folding in my flour and my butter. I heated it up a little bit. I'm gonna put about half of it here. You got about 2 tablespoons of butter, and you don't want it to be super warm because it'll take the air out of your mixture. So you want it to be heated up either in the microwave or in the pan, and then let it cool down a little bit, but in the sense of that it doesn't become stiff again. Not super, super hot. So we're gonna do the rest. Little by little, the flour. You want to fold it in, but you don't want to take all your air out of your mixture. That's why we're folding it and we're not blending it inside. Because you blend it, it'll just take all the air out and you would not have a sponge cake. You'll basically have a texture of a pound cake, but probably not as good as a pound cake. Pound cake requires more sugar and more butter. So we keep folding in, making sure we're not overworking it from the center and then the sides, center and then the sides, trying to get it mixed in and not leaving any clumps. You don't want to overwork it. So what I did with my pan, I took a little bit of pan spray. I just sprayed it lightly and just wiped it down with took off the excess with a napkin because you don't want it really to be have a lot of oil in it because it'll tend to burn. You just want it lightly greased. Okay, we're done with that. It's gonna go in my pan here. All my mixtures in. As you can see, you see the air pockets in there. That's good because you want it to be airy. You want it to aerate and be a sponge cake. So we're going to put it in the oven 20 minutes. So we're going to get our milk mixture ready. So I got about 6 ounces roughly of each milk. And all we do is just mix it in, mix it together with a whisk. A little bit of granulated sugar there. And what I tend to do is I put a little bit, just a touch of salt. Because it's usually in the sweet, it's good to have some salt to balance it out, to bring it down a little bit and, to balance out the flavor. Mix it really good. Then we're going to taste. Perfect. So we're going to wait for our cake to come out of the oven. Let that cool an hour or two. You can usually let it cool for about 20-30 minutes outside, and then you can put it in the cooler in your fridge for about an hour. And then once it's cooled, after that, then you can usually manipulate it then. It's not good to manage a cake when it's warm because they tend to fall apart because they're brittle and they're warm. So I would say, at least to be safe, at least 2 hours in your fridge. So like that, you don't take the chance of it just falling apart. And then once that's done, you take your mixture, you pour it over, your tres leche, your cake, and you let it absorb for another couple hours. So we'll be back and we'll wait until our cake is done. When my cake is done, it just came out of the oven. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let it cool and rest for a little bit, and like I said, let it rest for a couple hours. Cake is rested. I poured my milk in it already, and now we're gonna get ready to plate. Usually that first piece is a little hard to get out, and I'll take a little bit of this milk, pour it on top and on the sides. This is Tres Leches, a sponge cake with 3 milks in it, so it's supposed to be moist. And I've got my passion fruit whipped cream. So for this, what I did was I took some heavy cream and some powdered sugar, and I mixed that together until it became stiff peaks. And I put in some passion fruit puree and some passion fruit powder that I found online, the powder. Puree, I got that from a Latin store nearby. So we got our passion fruit whipped cream. And the whipped cream, I put a touch of cayenne pepper in it to give it just a touch of spice, because it's sometimes it's good to have a touch of spice in your desserts. Here goes my UBE Tres Leches with my passion fruit whipped cream. I'm Chef Luis Cortes, owner of Save and Gather Personal Chef Services in Nashville, Tennessee. Please like, subscribe, and share with others. Thank you very much.